Massive stones were moved with modern precision, using only ancient hands and simple tools. This is the central mystery of ancient construction methods, a field where the past consistently defies our present understanding. We will explore 20 specific techniques that still baffle the brightest scientific minds today. By the end, you will see human history and our ancestors' capabilities in a completely new light. How did the builders of Easter Island walk their colossal statues across the land? What is the lost secret that made Roman concrete stronger in seawater? What forgotten knowledge allowed our ancestors to achieve the seemingly impossible? These monumental works emerged from a world without any of the tools we consider essential. There were no detailed computer models, no cranes, and often not even a written plan to guide the hands of thousands of workers. Instead, these builders possessed something we have largely lost: a deep, intuitive relationship with their environment. They understood the grain of a specific stone, the way a river current could be harnessed, and the subtle shifts in the wind. This knowledge was not recorded in books but was passed down through generations of practice, becoming a living library of technique. This context is what makes their accomplishments so breathtaking. They were not just stacking rocks, they were applying a sophisticated, albeit unwritten, science. Every choice, from the quarry selected to the final placement of a block, was a calculated decision rooted in an intimate dialogue with the natural world. This is why modern debates over their methods are so vital. Each mystery we solve does more than just explain how a stone was moved. It recovers a piece of our collective intellectual heritage. We are piecing together the thought processes of the world's first engineers, individuals who solved problems of physics and logistics with nothing but keen observation and relentless innovation. Their secrets are not hidden in sealed tombs but are encoded in the very stones they left behind, waiting for us to learn their language. These stone walls stand as a silent testament to a lost art. In the high Andes, the Inca built structures that have withstood centuries of earthquakes, their polygonal masonry locking together like a three-dimensional puzzle carved from solid rock. The mystery is not just the final, perfect fit, but the journey each stone took to get there. Imagine the process: workers using river cobbles to pound and grind hard andesite, a method that would have been deafeningly loud and required immense patience. The dominant theory suggests a technique of trial and error, where a new block was repeatedly shaped and tested against its neighbor, a slow dance of abrasion that could have taken months for a single stone. Yet this explanation feels incomplete to many. The consistency of the angles and the complex interlocking shapes across vast walls suggest something more, perhaps a system of master templates or an intuitive understanding of geometry that allowed them to visualize the final form. How could they achieve such perfection without even the wheel to transport these multi-ton blocks up treacherous mountain paths? The answer may lie in a culture that viewed stone as a living entity, to be persuaded and coaxed into place rather than merely forced. This was not just construction, it was a form of conversation with the earth itself, a dialogue we are still struggling to hear. Moving from the interlocking stones of the Andes to the sun-baked plains of Giza presents a problem of almost unimaginable scale. The Great Pyramid alone is a mountain of 2 million individual blocks. Each one of these stones weighs as much as a large elephant. Think about the simple act of moving a single one of these blocks from a quarry miles away, then repeat that process millions of times. The sheer repetition of the task is itself a profound mystery. The most widely accepted theory paints a vivid picture: workers hauling massive sledges across desert sands deliberately wetted to create a slippery path. This method works in small-scale tests, but scaling it up to the reality of the pyramid involves a symphony of coordination that is difficult to comprehend. How did they manage the supply lines for water and food, the resting schedules for thousands of laborers, the relentless pace required to complete such a project within a single pharaoh's lifetime? The mystery only deepens when we look higher. To lift these stones hundreds of feet into the air, some researchers propose gigantic ramps made of sand and rubble, spiraling around the growing structure. Others suggest a more complex system of internal ramps, a kind of hidden highway inside the pyramid itself. Yet no single theory fully explains the entire process, and every proposed solution creates new logistical puzzles of its own. The ultimate challenge, however, comes from the pyramid's heart. The king's chamber is roofed with granite beams, each a staggering 80 tons. These stones were quarried in Aswan, a journey of over 500 miles down the Nile. How do you load an 80-ton block of stone onto a boat and then unload it again without modern cranes or machinery? This single logistical nightmare, moving these monolithic beams across half the length of Egypt, is a feat that continues to humble modern engineers and leaves us wondering what brilliant, and perhaps simple, technique has been lost to time. Far out in the vast Pacific Ocean, the silent, stone-faced Moai of Rapa Nui hold a secret that has taunted researchers for generations. These colossal figures, carved from the volcanic rock of a single quarry, present a logistical nightmare that isolation only magnifies. The first part of the puzzle is the carving itself, achieved with nothing harder than basalt stone hand tools. The real enigma, however, begins once the statue was freed from the earth. How did a community with no large animals or complex machinery move an 80-ton block of stone for miles over rugged terrain to its final resting place? One compelling theory suggests the islanders literally walked the statues upright. In this method, teams would have used ropes to rock the Moai from side to side, coaxing it forward in a slow, swaying motion that, from a distance, would have looked like the giant was walking itself across the land. Experimental attempts to replicate this have shown it is possible, yet they also reveal the immense risk. A single misstep could send the generations' worth of work crashing to the ground, a catastrophic loss for any community. This inherent danger leads other researchers to favor more stable methods, like a system of log rollers or a large sledge pulled along a prepared track. Each proposed technique carries its own set of consequences. The walking theory requires a smaller team but risks everything in a single moment. The log roller method would demand the consumption of vast quantities of the island's precious timber, a resource we know eventually grew scarce. This debate is about more than just physics. It strikes at the very heart of what happened on Rapa Nui. The chosen method reflects the society's priorities, its relationship with its environment, and the ultimate cost of its ambition. The true answer is likely carved into the landscape itself, waiting for us to see the path these giants truly took. While the statues of Rapa Nui stand in isolation, another ancient marvel thrives in the one place that destroys our own best work. Submerged in the Mediterranean Sea, the Roman harbor of Caesarea presents a paradox that has baffled material scientists for generations. Its concrete breakwaters have endured 2,000 years of relentless saltwater, growing stronger with each passing century, while modern concrete structures crumble after just a few decades. This is not a story of slow decay, but of active resistance. The Romans built to outlast empires, and their aquatic fortifications have done exactly that. The heart of this mystery lies in a seemingly simple recipe, a mix of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater. Modern analysis has identified a key player, a rare mineral called aluminous tobamorite that forms within the concrete. This crystal acts like a reinforcing skeleton, and some research even suggests it can slowly fill in small cracks, giving the material a kind of self-healing property. The presence of seawater, the very element that corrodes modern cement, was the crucial ingredient that triggered this beneficial chemical reaction. Yet knowing the ingredients is not the same as knowing the recipe. Scientists can identify the components but struggle to replicate the exact process. The debate centers on the specific ratios, the purity of the volcanic ash, the sequence of mixing, and the precise conditions that allowed this stable, long-term reaction to occur on an industrial scale. Was it a carefully controlled temperature during mixing, or a specific type of lime that was slaked in a particular way? The Roman method was likely a product of deep empirical knowledge, perfected over generations of trial and error, a process we are now trying to reverse engineer through advanced technology. This concrete is more than just a building material. It is a time capsule containing a lost science of durability, challenging our modern assumption that newer always means better. The quiet fields of Salisbury Plain hold one of humanity's most stubborn riddles. Arranged with celestial precision, the great stones of Stonehenge stand as a monument to a purpose we can only guess at, built by people whose methods are equally obscured. The scale of their ambition is breathtaking, particularly when you trace the origin of the smaller Bluestones all the way to the Preseli Hills in Wales, a journey of over 150 miles. Each of these 4-ton blocks represents a journey of staggering difficulty, and the debate over how they were moved is far from settled. One school of thought insists they were hauled on sledges and rollers by vast teams of people, a slow and grueling overland trek. Another proposes a more ingenious route, suggesting the stones were floated on rafts along the coast and up rivers, a theory that requires a deep understanding of local waterways. There is even a geological argument that glaciers from a much older ice age did the heavy lifting, depositing the Bluestones relatively close by. Yet this last idea is hotly contested, as it implies the builders simply used what the land provided, rather than undertaking a sacred pilgrimage to a specific, spiritually significant quarry. This choice of method speaks volumes about their motivation. Was this a practical engineering project, or a profound ritual where the struggle of the journey was as important as the final construction? The mystery only deepens when we turn to the giant Sarsen stones. These local sandstone monoliths, some weighing 25 tons, were shaped and erected to form the iconic trilithons, the 3 stone doorways that define the site. The true marvel lies in the joinery. The upright stones were carefully carved with protruding tenons, while the horizontal lintels were given matching hollows or mortises to slot perfectly onto them. This is woodworking technique executed on a colossal stone canvas. How did they raise these pillars into their precise holes, and then lift the lintels high into the air to lock them into place? The lack of any written plan forces us to experiment. Researchers have demonstrated that with enough people, a system of ropes, levers, and a large, carefully dug ramp, it is possible to raise a Sarsen stone. But replicating the placement of the lintel is another matter entirely. One compelling theory involves a wooden cribbing structure, a kind of temporary tower built next to the uprights. The lintel could be levered up one log at a time until it reached the exact height needed to be nudged into its final position. Every step of this process would have required not just brute force, but a shared communal intelligence, a rhythm of coordinated effort passed down through generations. The silence of the builders is deafening, leaving us to listen to the stones themselves for clues to a lost symphony of movement and meaning. The colossal stones of Baalbek defy simple comprehension. This ancient temple complex in Lebanon presents a challenge of such magnitude that it seems to rewrite the rules of ancient engineering. Known as the trilithon, 3 limestone blocks form a foundation course in the wall, each one a staggering 800 tons. That is the weight of 2 fully loaded jumbo jets, placed side by side with seams so precise a razor blade cannot slip between them. Yet even these giants are overshadowed by their abandoned sibling. In a nearby quarry lies the stone of the pregnant woman, a single block of stone estimated to weigh over 1,000 tons. It is the largest known stone ever cut by human hands. The journey of these megaliths is a 2-part mystery. First, how were they extracted from the bedrock? The quarry reveals channels cut around the blocks, likely by teams of workers with heavy metal tools. But freeing such a mass is only the beginning. The second, greater puzzle is the half-mile journey to the temple site, and the final act of lifting them over 20 feet into the air. The most accepted theories involve engineering on a heroic scale. One idea posits the use of enormous earthen ramps, built specifically to haul each stone into position and then painstakingly dismantled, leaving no trace for modern archaeologists to find. Another suggests a system of Roman cranes and capstans, massive wooden machines powered by hundreds of laborers walking in a circle. Yet even these explanations strain credibility. Moving a 1,000-ton block requires overcoming immense friction and the constant risk of the ground collapsing under its own weight. The sheer physics involved pushes at the very boundary of what we believe was possible. This has led to a lingering question: did the Romans, or perhaps an even earlier civilization they built upon, possess a lost understanding of leverage, counterweights, or ground pressure distribution that has since vanished from our own engineering handbooks? The silent stones offer no easy answers, only a profound and humbling testament to a level of ambition and skill that we are still struggling to measure. The quiet genius of the Antikythera mechanism was lost for 2,000 years at the bottom of the sea. Recovered from a Roman shipwreck, this corroded lump of bronze and wood reveals a shocking truth: an ancient Greek device of staggering complexity. It is the world's first known analog computer, an intricate clockwork of at least 30 interlocking bronze gears, all housed in a wooden case no larger than a shoebox. Its purpose was to map the heavens, predicting the movement of planets and the timing of lunar eclipses with a precision that would not be matched for over a millennium. The central mystery is not what it did, but how it was even conceived. How could artisans in the 2nd century before the Common Era design and manufacture such miniaturized, mathematically perfect gears? The craftsmanship implies a previously unknown school of mechanical engineering, a tradition of gear making so advanced it seems to appear out of nowhere. This was not a simple tool, it was a physical model of the cosmos, a universe of celestial motion captured in spinning bronze. The debate among scientists is a race to understand a lost process. How did they plan such a device without the language of modern calculus or detailed blueprints? Was there a master designer who understood the complex gear ratios needed to simulate the irregular orbits of the planets? The manufacturing process itself is another layer of the puzzle. Each gear had to be individually cast from bronze, then painstakingly filed by hand to achieve teeth that would mesh perfectly with its neighbors, a task requiring the steady hand of a master jeweler and the mind of an astronomer. The Antikythera mechanism stands as a lone, sophisticated artifact from its time, a single surviving whisper of a technological conversation that was happening in the ancient world. Its very existence suggests that the level of scientific inquiry in Hellenistic Greece was far deeper and more mechanical than we ever suspected, forcing us to wonder what other brilliant inventions were lost to the waves of time. While the Antikythera mechanism was a marvel of precise metalwork, another legendary wonder presents a mystery of life and water in the heart of a desert. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are a paradox, a structure celebrated in ancient texts yet utterly absent from the archaeological record. This creates a unique debate that is as much about historical truth as it is about engineering. Ancient writers described a breathtaking series of ascending terraces, a man-made mountain of lush vegetation and exotic trees seemingly suspended in the air, all sustained in the dry Mesopotamian climate. The central question for believers is a logistical one. How could a constant, massive flow of water be lifted to the very top of this structure to cascade down through the gardens? One compelling theory points to a chain pump, a loop of buckets mounted on a wheel that could have been turned by human labor, lifting water from the Euphrates River to a high reservoir. Another suggests the use of an Archimedes screw, a device that, despite its name, may have existed in some form earlier, using a spiraling tube to lift water when rotated. The most complex idea involves a series of water-raising wheels, a cascade of machinery where each wheel lifts water to a small pool that feeds the next wheel higher up. Each of these systems would have required an immense and continuous human effort to operate. This very absence of physical evidence, however, is what fuels the other side of the debate. No traces of these vast gardens, their sophisticated irrigation channels, or their legendary foundations have ever been found at the traditional site of Babylon. This has led some scholars to propose a startling alternative, that the gardens were not in Babylon at all, but were a grand artistic license by later Greek historians, or perhaps a real garden built in the Assyrian city of Nineveh, misattributed over centuries. The Hanging Gardens remain a beautiful ghost in the story of human achievement, a testament to how a powerful idea can shape our vision of the past, whether it was built from stone and soil or from words and wonder alone. High above the Nazca Desert, the earth itself becomes a canvas. What appears as a barren expanse from the ground transforms into a gallery of colossal figures, a hummingbird, a spider, a monkey, each spanning the length of several city blocks. These are the Nazca lines, geoglyphs created not by adding material, but by the simple act of subtraction. For generations, the people of this region carefully removed the dark, sun-baked surface stones to expose the lighter, sand-colored earth beneath. The fundamental method is deceptively straightforward, a task that could be accomplished with simple tools and coordinated labor. The profound mystery lies not in the act of moving stones, but in the act of seeing. How did these artists design and execute such immense, perfectly proportioned figures without ever seeing their work from above? They were creating a masterpiece intended for an audience in the sky, yet they themselves were forever grounded. One leading theory suggests a system of scaling up from a small model. A master designer could have created a detailed sketch on a manageable scale. This design could then be transferred to the desert floor using a simple grid system, where a single small square on the model corresponded to a much larger square marked out with stakes and ropes. Teams of workers would then be responsible for clearing the stones within their assigned section, following the pattern dictated by the grid. It is a method of divide and conquer, turning an impossibly large image into thousands of small, manageable tasks. Yet this practical explanation feels incomplete to some researchers. The sheer scale and precision of the longest straight lines, which run for miles without deviating, suggest a deeper knowledge. Could the Nazca have used basic surveying tools like sighting poles aligned with distant celestial bodies or mountain peaks to plot these perfect trajectories? This idea intertwines the method with the purpose, suggesting the lines were not just art but a form of sacred geometry, a way of mapping the heavens onto the earth or creating pathways for ceremonial processions. The true genius of the Nazca may have been their ability to hold a vast, aerial image in their collective mind's eye, translating a vision of monumental scale through a language of ropes, stakes, and shared intention, leaving behind a puzzle that can only be fully appreciated from the very vantage point they themselves could never physically reach. The sheer mass of the Lion Gate lintel is a statement in stone. Guarding the entrance to the ancient citadel of Mycenaean, this single block of limestone, weighing more than 20 tons, was not merely dropped into a gap. It was hoisted high onto a fortified wall and set with a precision that still defines the structure's silhouette. Above it, the famous triangular relief of two lions flanking a column was masterfully carved from the very same monolith. This was not an afterthought but an integral part of the design, meaning the entire assembly was planned, moved, and installed as one colossal unit. The raw logistics of this operation in the 13th century before the Common Era are staggering to contemplate. How do you quarry a block of this size, transport it over miles of rugged Greek terrain, and then perform the delicate act of lifting it perfectly into position, all without the block fracturing under its own immense weight. The conventional explanation relies on the timeless trio of levers, ramps, and ropes. We can envision teams of workers hauling the stone on rollers up a massive earthen ramp, painstakingly built against the wall, and then using wooden levers to nudge it into its final resting place. This method is mechanically sound, but it feels almost too simple for the result achieved. The perfect seating of the lintel and the stability of the entire gate complex after millennia suggest a level of control that simple ramps and brute force do not fully explain. This gap in understanding has led to a compelling debate. Could the Mycenaeans have possessed a more sophisticated understanding of mechanics than we give them credit for? Some researchers point to the possibility of an early, powerful pulley system or a type of wooden crane that has left no trace in the archaeological record. The knowledge required to build such a device would represent a lost chapter in Bronze Age engineering, a secret known only to the master builders of their time. The Silent Lions offer no confirmation, only a proud and enduring challenge to our modern assumptions about the limits of ancient innovation. Beneath the waves off Japan's coast, the sea holds a secret that challenges the very definition of a ruin. The Yonaguni monument is a colossal formation of sandstone, a series of massive, flat terraces that drop like a staircase into the deep. Its surfaces are unnaturally flat, meeting at crisp 90-degree angles that seem to form platforms, steps, and even what look like wide processional roads. The central debate is as stark as the monument's own edges. Is this a masterpiece of natural geology, or the sunken remnant of a civilization lost to time? If human hands are responsible, the implications are staggering. To work on such a scale would have required not just advanced stoneworking, but a grand vision, a complex plan before the land was swallowed by the sea at the end of the last ice age. Marine geologists who see a natural origin point to the powerful currents and the tendency of sandstone to fracture along straight lines, creating the illusion of carved architecture through millennia of random erosion. They argue that nature, given enough time, is a capable sculptor of seemingly perfect forms. Yet other researchers remain unconvinced, pointing to features that feel deliberately designed. They note the presence of two round holes that appear precisely drilled, the symmetrical, star-shaped pattern found on one platform, and the way several structures seem to align with celestial points. These are not the random results of fracturing rock, they argue, but the fingerprints of intelligent design. The controversy forces us to look more closely, not just at the stones, but at our own assumptions. If this is a natural formation, it is one of the most geometrically perfect ever discovered. But if it is artificial, it speaks of a forgotten chapter in human history, a culture capable of megalithic construction at a time when much of the world was still in the Stone Age. The silent, submerged tears of Yonaguni offer no easy answers, only a profound choice between an incredible coincidence of nature and an even more incredible lost achievement of humanity. The fortress walls of Sacsayhuamán curve across the high Peruvian landscape like the teeth of a stone giant. Here, the scale of Inca ambition reaches its zenith, with blocks so immense they seem to belong to the realm of myth, one stone alone tipping the scales at over 120 tons. These are not the interlocking polygonal stones of other sites, but colossal, irregular behemoths fitted together with a seamlessness that defies the passage of centuries. The central question is not just how they were moved, but how they were persuaded to embrace one another so perfectly. One compelling theory involves a dramatic dialogue with the stone itself. Researchers suggest the Incas may have built fires directly against the rock face, heating it intensely before dousing it with water. The resulting thermal shock would have caused the stone to fracture in a controlled manner, effectively softening the hard rock and making it far easier to work with simple bronze and stone tools. This method of heating and quenching could explain how they managed to shape such gigantic blocks without modern technology. Yet another school of thought proposes a far more patient, almost meditative process. This theory envisions a system of intricate measurement and relentless abrasion, where workers used sand, water, and harder river cobbles to slowly grind the surfaces down, a grain at a time. It would have been a monumental act of patience, a project spanning generations where the shaping of a single block was a lifetime's work. The debate between these two ideas, the dramatic thermal shock versus the gradual, meticulous abrasion, represents two very different visions of Inca society. Was their mastery born from a flash of brilliant, applied physics, or from a deep cultural commitment to slow, deliberate communal effort? The silent, zig-zagging walls offer no definitive answer, leaving us to wonder if the true secret was not in a single technique, but in a culture that knew how to command both fire and time. The Parthenon's perfection is an elegant lie to the human eye. This iconic temple appears as a vision of absolute straight lines and harmonious balance, yet a precise measurement reveals its secret. Every single line in its structure is subtly curved. The massive platform upon which it stands rises gently in the center. Its majestic columns do not stand perfectly vertical but tilt ever so slightly inward, and their shafts swell with a delicate bulge known as intosses. These were not construction errors, but brilliant, premeditated corrections for the way our eyes perceive reality at such a grand scale. A truly straight horizontal line stretching hundreds of feet would actually appear to sag in the middle from a distance. A set of parallel columns would seem to be leaning outward. The architects of the Parthenon understood these optical illusions intimately, and they engineered their masterpiece to counteract them, creating a building that feels more alive, more stable, and more perfect than any rigid geometry could achieve. The scientific debate that captivates researchers today is not about why they did it, but how they managed to execute such minute, consistent refinements across a structure of such colossal size. Was this the product of complex mathematical ratios, a secret formula for curvature based on the precise dimensions of the temple itself? Or was it the result of pure artistic intuition, the keen eye of a master sculptor overseeing every block and ensuring it contributed to the overall visual poetry? A third possibility points to a living tradition of empirical knowledge, a set of practical rules of thumb passed from one generation of builders to the next, refined through centuries of trial and error on smaller temples before being deployed on this, their ultimate canvas. The precision involved is breathtaking. The curvature of the stylobate, the temple's base, is so slight that its rise in the center is less than the length of your thumb over a distance longer than a football field. To achieve this with hand tools and without detailed written plans suggests a shared, almost instinctual understanding of form and perception among the entire workforce. This was architecture that acknowledged the human observer, a dialogue between stone and site that continues to resonate across 2,500 years. The silent alignments of Carnac stretch across the French landscape like a vast, petrified army. Here, over 3,000 prehistoric standing stones march in eerie, parallel rows for miles, a monumental undertaking from a time we still struggle to understand. While the purpose of these stones remains a subject of intense speculation, the sheer physical act of their creation presents its own profound puzzle. These are not small markers. The largest of these men here weigh as much as 10 full-grown elephants. The basic technique for raising a single one seems straightforward enough. Dig a deep pit, tilt the great stone into it using ropes and levers, and then painstakingly pack the earth back in to hold it fast. But this simple explanation shatters when faced with the reality of the site. This was not a one-time event. It was a sustained campaign of construction, a project demanding the quarrying, transportation, and perfect erection of thousands of massive stones across an entire countryside. The true mystery of Carnac is not in the lever or the rope, but in the mind that could organize such an endeavor. This was a Neolithic society, a community of farmers and herders without a written language or centralized government as we know it. Yet they coordinated a workforce spanning generations, managing the supply lines for tools and food, and maintaining a shared vision for a project that would take centuries to complete. How did they communicate the precise alignments over such vast distances? What shared belief or social structure was powerful enough to motivate this timeless effort? The stones themselves are a testament to a forgotten social technology, an ability to unite a scattered population around a single, staggering goal, leaving behind a mystery of logistics and human cooperation as imposing as the granite menhirs themselves. The Gate of the Sun stands alone on the high Bolivian plateau, a single piece of andesite granite weighing 10 tons and covered in a language of symbols we can no longer fully read. Its isolation makes its creation all the more profound. This was not a gate built into a wall, but a freestanding monument, a solitary portal carved from one impossibly hard block of stone. The first layer of the mystery is a question of sheer force. How did the Tiwanaku people, without iron tools or the wheel, extract this monolith from a quarry and move it across the rugged Altiplano? The second and far more intricate puzzle is etched across its surface. The central figure, often interpreted as a celestial deity, is surrounded by a procession of winged messengers carved with a rhythmic, repeating precision that feels mechanical. The symmetry and depth of these lines suggest a hand guided by more than just freeform artistry. The dominant theory is one of immense patience, proposing that artisans used simple tools of stone or copper, along with abrasive sand and water, to slowly grind the designs into the unforgiving granite. This would have been a process spanning years, a testament to a culture that measured time in generations, not deadlines. Yet the crisp, consistent angles and the depth of the relief work lead some researchers to wonder if this explanation is complete. Could the builders have employed a system of master stencils or templates, perhaps made from a more pliable material, to transfer this complex iconography onto the stone before carving began? The gate's surface may also hold clues to its purpose. The intricate carvings are not merely decorative. They are a complex codex of astronomical knowledge and mythological belief, aligning with solar events like the solstices. This transforms the gate from a simple slab of rock into a sophisticated calendar, a stone computer for tracking the passage of the sun. The true secret of the Gate of the Sun may therefore be a dual one, a mastery over both the physical world of stone and the celestial world of time, leaving us to decode not just how they carved it, but what they were trying to say to the future. Buried alongside the silent terracotta army was a secret that should not exist. While the thousands of life-sized soldiers capture the world's imagination, the bronze weapons they once held conceal a technological paradox. These swords and arrowheads, crafted in the 3rd century before the Common Era, were found remarkably preserved, their blades still sharp and gleaming after more than 2 millennia underground. Scientific analysis revealed the shocking reason: a microscopically thin layer of chromium oxide coating the metal, a form of protection that fights off rust and corrosion. Modern history credits the invention of chromium plating to the 20th century, a full 2,000 years after the Qin dynasty artisans apparently mastered it. This discovery ignites a fierce debate. Was this an intentional achievement of ancient chemistry or a spectacular accident? The case for a deliberate process is compelling. Researchers suggest the blacksmiths may have used a chromium-rich compound, perhaps derived from a specific mineral, and applied it during the forging or tempering of the blade. This would have required not only identifying the right mineral, but also understanding the precise temperatures needed to bond the protective layer to the bronze without weakening the metal underneath. It points to an entire school of lost metallurgical knowledge. The alternative theory proposes a more serendipitous origin. many of the weapons were mounted on wooden components that were coated in a decorative lacquer. Some ancient lacquers were made with cinnabar, a mineral that can contain trace amounts of chromium. Over centuries in the damp earth, the theory goes, chemicals from the decaying lacquer could have migrated onto the bronze, leaving behind the protective film as a fortunate byproduct of ritual and decoration, not conscious design. Yet this explanation also has its flaws, as the coating is remarkably consistent on many weapons, not patchy as a random chemical transfer might suggest. Modern attempts to replicate the exact Qin dynasty method have repeatedly fallen short, unable to perfectly match the durability and adhesion of the original coating. This persistent failure suggests the true technique was a nuanced art, a specific sequence of steps or a unique local material that has been lost to time. The silent warriors no longer hold their weapons, but the blades themselves testify to a sophistication that challenges our entire timeline of technological progress. The silent, sun-baked island of Malta holds a different kind of mystery, one not carved in statues but worn directly into the earth itself. A vast, intricate network of parallel grooves crisscrosses the limestone landscape, so deep and precise they look like railway tracks laid down for giants. These are the Maltese cart ruts, a puzzle carved not from single stones but from the very ground underfoot. The most straightforward theory suggests they were formed by generations of carts or sledges, their wooden wheels or runners following the exact same path century after century, slowly grinding the soft limestone into these profound channels. This explanation, however, raises more questions than it answers. What cargo could possibly justify such an immense, island-wide transportation system? Were they moving colossal blocks of stone for the island's many megalithic temples, or perhaps hauling soil and water across the arid terrain? The sheer depth of some ruts suggests an intensity of use that is difficult to comprehend, a relentless traffic of heavy loads that would have been the central focus of this society for generations. Yet this practical theory is challenged by the ruts' strange behavior. They run straight up steep hills and plunge directly off cliffs into the Mediterranean Sea, routes that make little sense for any practical cart. This bizarre geography fuels an alternative idea that the ruts were not worn at all, but were deliberately carved for a purpose we can no longer grasp. Could they have been part of a massive, island-wide water collection and irrigation system, channeling precious rainwater from the hills to the fields below? Or were they slots for moving massive building components in a way we have not yet envisioned, a fixed guide rail system for construction on an epic scale? The debate between accidental wear and intentional design lies at the heart of the mystery. If they were worn, they speak of a society whose entire economy was based on moving something incredibly heavy, a logistical effort that shaped the very land. If they were carved, they reveal a grand, premeditated plan for the entire island, a vision of startling ambition. With no written records left by the builders, the cart ruts remain a ghostly imprint of a lost civilization's daily rhythm, their true purpose fading with each passing century, leaving only the haunting grooves as a question etched in stone. Deep beneath the sun-baked rock of Cappadocia lies a hidden world built for survival. The Derinkuyu underground city is a labyrinthine fortress carved straight into the volcanic stone, a shelter so vast it could house thousands of people for months at a time. The true marvel of this subterranean metropolis is not just its existence, but the breath of life that sustained it, a sophisticated network of over 50 ventilation shafts reaching down over 280 feet. Imagine the challenge of ensuring fresh air circulates through multiple crowded levels, all while the inhabitants remained hidden from whatever threat drove them underground. The debate surrounding this system centers on a single, brilliant act of foresight. How did the builders, working in near darkness, plan and connect these shafts with such unerring accuracy? Without a single miscalculation, stale air had to be drawn out and fresh air pulled in, a delicate balance of pressure and flow that kept the entire city alive. One school of thought suggests a beautifully simple solution: the use of plumb bobs and basic geometry. By dropping a weighted line down a central shaft, they could maintain a true vertical, while using measured ropes and sight lines to ensure new tunnels intersected at the correct points. This method is mechanically sound, a testament to practical skill, yet the consistent performance of the entire network gives other researchers pause. Could there have been a more profound, intuitive understanding of air behavior at play? Did these ancient engineers recognize how temperature differences between the surface and the deep levels would create a natural convection current, effectively making the city breathe on its own? They were not just digging holes, they were orchestrating an invisible river of air. The construction of the shafts themselves is another layer of the puzzle. Each one had to be excavated from the top down, a perilous task of hauling rock upward from a deepening pit, all while maintaining its precise alignment with the growing city below. This was not a haphazard effort, it was a coordinated master plan executed in the dark, a life-sustaining system that stands as one of history's most ingenious answers to a problem of sheer survival. A single man working in the dark of night, moving blocks of stone heavier than automobiles. This is the enduring puzzle of Coral Castle in Florida, a modern monument that defies our understanding of one person's physical limits. In the early 20th century, an immigrant from Latvia named Ed Līdzkalnis single-handedly quarried, carved, and positioned over 1,000 tons of oolite limestone. He claimed to have unlocked the building secrets of the ancient pyramids, even suggesting he understood how the Egyptians made stone float. The most captivating part of the story is his secrecy. He erected tall walls to shield his work and labored almost exclusively after sunset, ensuring his methods would remain his alone. The physical evidence he left behind is staggering. A 9-ton gate, perfectly balanced, could be opened with the push of a single finger. A 22-ton obelisk stands tall, and countless multi-ton blocks are fitted together with seamless precision. The theories proposed by engineers to explain his work are numerous. Perhaps he used a complex system of block and tackle, a web of ropes and pulleys that multiplied his strength. Others suggest he employed clever leverage, using a tripod of logs and a chain hoist to lift the massive stones incrementally. He may have even used a simple but brilliant principle, placing the stones on old truck axles and rolling them into position. These are all mechanically sound ideas, and they showcase a profound mastery of conventional physics. Yet, for many who study the site, these explanations feel insufficient. Witnesses reported seeing him work, and they never described elaborate rigs or machinery. They simply said the heavy coral blocks seemed to move on their own. This has led to a persistent debate that goes beyond simple mechanics. Did Ed Līdzkalnis, through sheer intuition and relentless experimentation, rediscover a lost principle of anti-gravity or magnetic levitation that he could never properly articulate? Or was his genius not in breaking the laws of physics, but in his superhuman patience and his unique understanding of weight distribution and center of mass, applying basic principles with a skill so refined it appeared to be magic? The castle stands as his silent testament, a riddle carved in stone that asks us whether the true secret was a forgotten science, or simply the limitless potential of a determined human spirit. The final mystery is not one of lifting stones, but of building a perfect society from the ground up. In the dusty plains of Pakistan, the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro reveal a city that feels startlingly modern, a meticulously planned urban center from over 4,000 years ago. Its streets run in a precise grid, a layout that suggests a master plan conceived long before the first brick was laid. Every home was connected to a covered, city-wide drainage system, a network of baked clay pipes and channels that carried waste away from the living spaces, a feat of public health engineering that would not be seen again for millennia. Even the bricks themselves speak of a remarkable consensus, manufactured to a standard, uniform ratio that was used across the entire Indus Valley. The construction here was not of a single monument, but of an entire, functioning civilization. The profound debate surrounding Mohenjo-Daro is not about how they moved one massive block, but how they moved an entire society toward a shared vision of order. There is no archaeological evidence of a grand palace for an all-powerful king, no grandiose tombs hinting at a pharaoh's command. Their written language remains undeciphered, leaving no royal decrees or engineering manuals to explain their methods. This absence of a central, authoritarian figure is what makes their achievement so baffling to modern researchers. How did they coordinate the labor, enforce the building standards, and maintain the civic discipline for such a complex urban project without a visible, top-down hierarchy? The answer may lie in a different kind of architecture, the architecture of social agreement. This was likely a society governed by a shared belief system and a common understanding of what a city should be, a culture where knowledge was so deeply embedded in the community that it became a collective instinct. The builders of Mohenjo-Daro were not following the commands of a single mind, but participating in a vast communal project based on inherited principles and mutual benefit. Their true construction secret was not a tool or a technique, but a social technology, a way of organizing human life with a foresight and harmony that we are still striving to understand today. From the impossibly tight joints of Inca stonework to the hidden gears of the Antikythera mechanism, a single, powerful truth connects these 20 debated construction methods. They are not just isolated marvels, but a collective testament to the astonishing ingenuity of ancient civilizations. Each one stands as a challenge to our modern assumptions about technological progress, reminding us that the timeline of human innovation is not a simple, straight line moving ever upward. The past holds entire libraries of knowledge that were never written down, secrets encoded in stone and metal that we are only now beginning to decipher. These are far more than academic puzzles for specialists to debate. They are profound invitations for all of us to expand our understanding of human potential. They ask us to reconsider what a society is capable of when driven by necessity, spiritual belief, or a simple, relentless drive to create something lasting. Perhaps the greatest lesson we can take from these silent monuments is one of humility. The achievements of our ancestors, built with an intimate knowledge of their world and a mastery of basic physics, demand our respect and our curiosity. They remind us that brilliance is not a modern invention. We would love to hear which of these ancient mysteries captured your imagination the most. Was it the walking statues of Rapa Nui, the self-healing Roman concrete, or the lost social technology of Mohenjo-Daro? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the enigmatic past, please subscribe for more explorations into the world's greatest historical puzzles.